All right, final question is about drilling. And this comes from a reader. Everyone says drilling is important, but there are so many different techniques to drill. How do I know which technique or techniques to drill? Good question. And it's a common area of confusion because I get asked this question a lot. I'm glad that I can offer some insights on it anyway. There are really two answers. If you're a beginner, if you're intermediate, advanced. So for a beginner, what do you drill? That answer is really easy. You drill the basics. What are the basics? Well, funny you should ask. In my book, A Roadmap for BJJ, I talk about the 6 basic positions, and which you can expand into 8 positions if you break up the guard into closed guard, open guard, half guard. So there are 8 basic positions. For each of these 8 basic positions, you have submissions you can do, escapes to get out of it if you're in the bad side of that position, and transitions that you can use to get to a better position. An example of this would be, from knee mount, you can go to full mount. That would be improving your position. From guard, you can sweep the guy and go to side mount. That would be improving your position. From guard, you can pass the guard. That would be escaping the position. So those are 3 options for every position. How many positions do we say? They're basically 8. So for those 8 positions, you need at least one of each of those techniques, so each of those 3 techniques. So that's 24 techniques. For the mount, you need escapes from the mount, submissions from the mount, and ways to transition from mount to other positions, the back say. For side mount, you need attacks from side mount, submissions from side mount. You need ways to improve the position if you're on top. You need ways to get out of the position on bottom. So the basics are the most fundamental answers for each of those. From closed guard, your basic submission might be the armbar. From closed guard, your basic sweep, there are many basic sweeps. You're just going to pick one for now that seems to fit your body. Maybe the scissor sweep, maybe the hip buck sweep, maybe the flower sweep. What it is kind of irrelevant. And to some extent, if your instructor is trying to teach you a basic escape from side mount or a basic sweep from closed guard, that's the one you should be drilling. The basics. If you're not a beginner, you're intermediate advanced, and I would roughly say blue belt here, but really more what I'm talking about is people who are beginning to put together a game plan. So by the time you're putting together a game plan, your emphasis on drilling will probably change. Yeah, it's good to review the basics, 100%. Do you need to drill them as much as you did initially? Probably not. You probably repeat it a couple of times, you're like, oh yeah, that's exactly how it goes. So then what should you spend most of your drilling time on? I think 2 things, game plan development and problem solving specific areas. Game plan development, what's a game plan? A game plan is a set of techniques that fit well together. Here's what's not a game plan. Hip buck sweep from closed guard, X guard stand-up sweep, berimbolo from De La Hiva, and arm drag from butterfly. Those are like random disparate techniques. They don't tie together. If your arm drag from butterfly didn't work, it's not like you can go into your berimbolo from De La Hiva right away. They don't fit together that smoothly. A game plan is a set of techniques starting perhaps starting on your back, where you sweep an opponent and you try and attack, and if he counters, you have an answer for counter number 1, you have an answer for counter number 2, you have an answer for counter number 3, and you find a way to take him down, and then the game plan continues, because depending where you end up in that sweep, you're going to have different ways to pass the guard, right? There'll be certain guard passes or certain adjustments you'll need to make so that you can go seamlessly from the sweep into the guard pass into the submission. And all high-level players have got a game plan. Some of them are more complicated than others. And if you're intermediate to advanced, you kind of want to be building a bunch of techniques that work really well together. So an example might be, you've got a killer butterfly guard sweep. Just awesome. But the guy sometimes posts his leg. Well, your game plan development there might be drilling your butterfly guard sweep, then drilling your butterfly guard sweep, the guy posts his legs, going to X guard and sweeping the guy from X guard. That's beginning to put together a game plan. Then from X guard, you end up on top, saying going double unders and passing the guard either to the left or to the right. Those are all techniques that hook together really smoothly, and you'll find yourself doing them in sparring in exactly the way that you drilled them. It's really cool when that happens. Like, holy, I drilled this exact sequence yesterday, and it's coming out exactly the way I drilled it in sparring. That's a very, very cool feeling. The other thing you're going to work on drilling as a intermediate to advanced player is problem solving. Maybe there's a certain type of guard that you're having difficulty passing. You just cannot figure out how to pass this one guy's De La Riva guard. Because when you try and backstep, he does X, Y, Z. Doesn't matter what it is. So you might drill with him or you might drill with somebody else and specifically look, try and figure out what an answer to this problem might be and then repeat your physical solution again and again and again. So you're just patching a hole in your position. Another example might be you keep on getting caught in this one armbar. Well, it's time to work your armbar defenses. In particular, your armbar defenses to that kind of attack. Maybe you've got a throw that just isn't working because a specific opponent is doing a specific thing. Well, you're going to drill the solution to that. So you're going to spend most of your time doing game plan development and then a little bit of patching the holes. Game plan development is essentially building off of your strengths. You've got your strengths, you're trying to find new strengths and trying to make what you do well even stronger. The other kind of sort of hole patching part of the game is trying to fix up your weaknesses. So those are more situational. You'll know what you need to work on. Here, what were the last 3 submissions you got caught in? There's an example of what to work on. What is the one sweep that your main training partner always catches you in? That's another thing that you can work on. What is a position where you get completely stuck and you just have no idea what to do next? Well, if you take that apart, you dissect it, you analyze it, you do your research, you'll probably find a solution, especially if you take it out of the context of, we're in the middle of a hardcore roll and it's life or death and you can't actually think. If you take that and go back to a calm, sedate training partner and say, I always get caught in this position. Let's just I wonder what happens if I push my foot. Oh, that's not good. I wonder what happens if I take my hand and put it there. That seems to improve it. I wonder what happens if you change the grip from here to here. You're breaking it apart, and then you find a solution, you find a way to get out of that position, and then you repeat it. That's also drilling. So, it's a long-winded answer, but the concept of drilling is a really interesting one. People mean so many different things by drilling as well. There's solo drilling, there's partner drilling, there's cycle drilling, there's competitive drilling, there's semi-competitive drilling, there's constrained drilling. It's a really big topic. I hope I gave you some of the answers that you needed. I hope that this has been useful to the other people listening. And, I thank everybody for all the questions they send in. I do try and read all my stuff. It's just really difficult to get back to everybody in a timely manner sometimes. So I hope you understand. Good luck with your training, and I'll catch you on the next podcast.